Thanks for checking out this review on the latest neon collection from TheBeautyWorx. They've released 3 palettes in this collection, 2 9-pan and 1 mini 4-pan palette. They're labelled as cruelty-free, which is great. Just bear in mind they're not yet verified through other sources like PETA or the Leaping Bunny program or, cruelty-free kitty. It probably is still an ethical brand, so it's just one to note for you more vigilant beauty friends. There's a lot of neon-themed palettes already released by other brands, but these neon packaged palettes are actually neutral. I'm going to review all 3 of them, including swatches and looks in this video. This is the neon green palette, like I said, not based on the neon green colour story. I'd describe this as neutral and on the side of the nude palette. The neon orange palette is a little more pigmented with a warmer tone. And the yellow mini palette is my favourite one. It's £1 cheaper than the others, though they're all really affordable. It's a really neutral, cool, mauvey kind of colour story. I'm now going to review each palette, starting with the green neon.
The green neon palette has 2 matte shades, a light beige and a darker brown one. Hopefully you can get an idea of what the shimmers look like. You'll see how these shades actually swatch here now.
This light matte shade is quite good to lighten areas or kind of create a base. Next shade is a really nice light shimmer used to highlight the inner corner, for instance, on the eyelid or just below the brow. This is also a super light warm shimmer, much lighter than it shows on the pan. On the next row is a little more of a warmer gold, maybe slightly yellow, tiny bit bronze. Next shade, which is in the middle of the palette, is just a warmer shade of shimmer. I think you'd need to build this up to show a more pigmented colour. This is also a very pale neutral gold. On the bottom row, this is the second matte shade. It's the darker version, it's the brown, so this you can use as the darker base. It's definitely the nude touch, and it's also very good for creating that depth on the eye look. The next shade is actually a warm kind of satin purple look. Probably more like plum. The last shade is a much cooler version and it requires a lot of building. I think these are the softest and most buildable shades in the collection. Here are some looks I created with the green neon palette. You could do softer looks like I said, but I thought I'll focus those on the others and try out some defined looks with this one. Here's how I created these looks starting from look 1. The shades I'm using will be circled on the palette shown in the bottom left corner of this video. I'll start to speed up the process of creating these looks as you get the gist of what I'm doing. I generally use larger blending brushes to kind of lay down a base and a smaller brush to kind of do some details, as you can see here. I also use flat thin brushes to kind of add some detail or very focused blending. I also use a small thin precision brush to kind of do an eyeliner on the bottom of my eyes with an eyeshadow. I use a different blending brush to blend out the edges and transition shades. I quite liked the way this look came out. It was pretty easy to blend and very simple. I just finished with a mascara and a little bit of eyeliner at the top. So this is look number 2 I did with green neon palette. This time I decided to try and focus on some definition on the bottom eyelid. As you can see, I had some fallout, but that's probably because I was building on quite a lot of product, so that's to be expected.
I can't wear makeup for 2 days. You know what I mean? And hopefully they'll forget and then, you know, no? Okay. I'm the only one? Alright, fine.
So here I can kind of show you how I'm finishing up this look with a liquid eyeliner. I think I'm using the KVD Beauty tattoo eyeliner here. I think I have a hybrid between hooded eyes and monolid, so I keep the line very thin, and I also use a pencil eyeliner to line the upper inner lid. This helps provide the best definition for me without drowning out all the space on my inner eyelid. Here I'm using a Ciate London waterproof mascara that totally broke. The wand came off, so I'm kind of using the Charlotte Tilbury wand to apply this. I think I've mentioned before I'm not so into using false eyelashes. I just rather use mascara, and I'm kind of lucky my eyelashes are fairly long.
She's cute. She's very, very pretty.
Yeah, I wish Teresa was talking about me. But yeah, I think this is a pretty look too. I think this is a bit of a softer look because the definition's on the eyelids there. I think the Green Neon palette is a very nice, neutral, basic palette, and it's so affordable. Now I'm going to show you the Orange Neon palette. And this is a warmer, neutral kind of vibe, with one auburn reddish matte surrounded by shimmers. Here are the swatches for the Orange Neon palette. This shade is a gold peachy look. This shade is more of a warm gold. The next one is a lighter peach shade, which looks quite different and a bit darker in the pan. It's a nice light shade though. The next shade, which is on the second row of the palette, could look a little green to some because it's right next to much warmer shades, but when you swatch it you can see it's much more neutral, cool gold. The next shade, which is in the middle, is the matte colour. It's kind of a warm, slightly darker kind of terracotta red. Almost like a brick red even. You know, it's got a warm orange tone. The next shade is almost a shimmer version of the matte. It's a little darker though. It's also got a more burgundy maroon kind of cool tone to it. You could use either of these as darkening shades. Of course the shimmer will be more reflective, but that might not reflect the eyelid so much. The next shade on the bottom row of the palette is this really nice brighter peach colour. I'd say this is the brightest colour in the palette. The next shade is a strong pigmented red shimmer. It's one of the warmer shades in the palette. This last shade is kind of like a grey. Again, when you see the shades all together in the palette, it's quite deceptive because you're looking at them compared to the other shades. I know it's weird, but in real life it kind of looks purple in the pan. Of course it's not when you swatch it or if you look at it on its own. Here are a couple of looks I've created with the Orange Neon palette. One's a warmer tone and the other is more neutral. Here's how I created the first Orange Neon look. I'll speed up the creations here. If you watched the green neon looks, then I think you would be able to pick this up quite easily. show you how I use my eyelash curlers. I don't use them all the time, but if I do, here's how I do it. I've heard you can keep them lifted if you curl them at the root and then in the middle of the lash and then towards the upper side. So when it drops, then it remains lifted on the rest of the lash. That's how the first look turned out for the orange neon. These gold peach tones are really nice and actually works well with my type of eyes. Here's the orange neon look number 2. This ended up an interesting look as that grey kind of purple shade ended up popping out and neutralising that warmer shade at the top. And now let's look at the final third palette in the collection, which is this cute yellow mini. It's got a purple sort of mauve colour story with 1 dark matte and 3 shimmer shades. Have a look at these swatches. This is a really nice cool tone that's going to help deepen and add dimension to the eye look. This one is a really beautiful bronze shimmer. It's essentially your classic nude neutral look with a bit of glow. Left shimmer is a little more pink. I think this will create softer looks. You can see the shimmer shades in this collection are quite pigmented and they swatch really well. And this top right shimmer is the lightest. This is the one that's going to create a really nice highlight across any of the eyelid. I think the combination of these eyeshadows are perfectly designed and curated for a neutral mini palette. I think this palette is great for creating kind of classic looks and soft looks too. So here's how I created the first look, which is a classic one. I laid down the soft pink shimmer as a base to my upper eyelid. Then deepened the bottom half of that upper eyelid with the matte. Always need to do something like this because of my sort of hybrid hooded slight monolid eyes. Very little space on my eyelid showing, so this is the way I show some depth. Bit of bronze shimmer to the outer part of my eyelid to create some dimension. And then I'm just doing some blending above my eyelid. Here I'm using the lighter shade with a smaller brush to highlight the inner corner of my eye. So bring it up to the inner corner of my eyelid. Also using the bronze shimmer shade to create an eyeliner on the bottom of my eyes and just blending it outwards. As I make a mess with fallout, I have the fan brush to kind of tidy up. Now finishing up, this is the Barry M waterproof pencil eyeliner in black. Again, using it to line the inner edge of my eyelids and working it outwards. I'm using the new Urban Decay Lash Freak mascara here, one of my recent faves. I don't wear eyebrow products very often, but here I've applied the Barry M brow wand, the brown version. I go in with a pencil and then I go in with the gel. Surprise, surprise, I need to tidy up some more towards the end. And there you have it, the final classic eye look. It's a really pretty, easy, wearable look that you can go out the door with. Touch of shimmer makes this quite good for a soft glam look as well. If you're into lipsticks, this creates space for a strong look like red, purple or deep brown. So here's how I did look 2, a softer look. I start with the lightest shimmer shade, blending it all above the eyelid. With a smaller brush, I just use the matte shade a little just to shade a bit above my eyelid. Again, just to help a bit of dimension with the type of eyes I have. I'm doing a lot of blending here to diffuse the shade. I am building the dark matte eyeshadow just above my eyelid, but in a very, very thin line, just where it's visible. I have more space above my eyelid then to soften it out, as you can see here with the blending. Again, I'm building that matte very thinly over the blend. This thin flat brush is quite good at doing this. This one's a Sigma E20 short shader. The Spectrum A13 is also pretty good for this. I always use synthetic brushes. I don't want to use natural ones, and also I prefer if they're cruelty free. These shimmers really blend very well. The matte takes a little bit of blending, but it builds up pretty well too. There's probably a more effective way of doing this than what I'm doing, but this is what I ended up doing to try and blend and soften out the look. So here I'm using the soft pink shimmer on my eyelid. I'm just using a number 7 flat brush to pack and blend it. Now I'm using the lightest shimmer shade with an even smaller brush, and I'm applying it, kind of packing it right in the middle of my eyelid. And again, I'm just adding it to the inner corner of my eye to create that highlight. I've used the bronze shimmer again to do the eyelining of my bottom eye. I think this is the best shade to use as an eyeliner blended under the eyes. To up this look with just mascara only, I used Tarte's Lights Camera and Lashes. I think this then ended up creating a really nice soft natural look. Okay, this has ended up as a bonus look 3. I'm going to run this process on fast forward because it's essentially another soft look. You can make it much warmer in this palette using the bronze. It just shows how versatile this palette can be. Here's my review roundup of each palette. The green neon palette is very light. You may like this if you prefer a lighter look or if you prefer building shadow. The natural wear is short, maybe 5 to 7 hours, so it could be longer with primer and setting spray. The orange neon palette is definitely more pigmented, and you can really see that with the shimmers, definitely for neutral wearers who like warmer tones. The wear is a little longer, maybe 7 or 8 hours. I think the mini is the best out of the 3, and it has all the shades you need to create all the classic looks. The pigments on these shadows were really decent and the wear was very good. The thing about this is that it's compact and you can wear it on the go. All this collection is really affordable. I think it's like $3 or $4.99 and $2.99 for the mini. So for that price, they're quite decent, especially the mini. That one is definitely value for money. I'll quickly show you a comparison of the swatches between the 3 palettes. These were dupes. The closest things I can think of are Huda Beauty's Nude Obsessions. Then they've got a few different shades. Of course, Nude Obsessions are much more pigmented with a much more expensive price tag. The shadows blended fine. Some were easier than others and some were a little difficult, but otherwise it was okay. Also a little fallout, so just be careful with that. So I would say if you're looking for affordable, decent makeup, these are definitely ones to pick up. Let me know what you think, and if you've tried them, comment below. Thanks for watching.